Blog Talk Radio.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. Hopefully we have our co-host on. Prophet, are you there?
I'm here. Looking forward to another great show as always.
Can you actually hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ah, finally. I'm hoping someone can. I don't know what happened with the whole technical problems all the time. Well, I am going to call Jackie Kallen. If for some reason I have technical problems, don't hang up, okay?
I got you.
Okay, well, here we go. Why don't you tell them about something while I call Jackie Kallen.
Okay,
Richard,
well, Christy's... yes, that's fine. Go ahead. While
okay,
Christy's
I'm going to...
the phone,
yes, thank you.
Go ahead. While Christy's trying to get in touch with Jackie Kallen, we have a great show for you planned today. Later on, we're going to talk about the future of James Lights Out Tony. Should he just retire and fade off into the sunset? Or should he continue boxing? We're also going to talk about the evolution of a superstar in Triple G, who turned in another stellar performance this past weekend with a brutal third-round TKO over Matthew Macklin. We also hope later on in the show to get rising prospect Keith Thurman, who not only fights at 154 pounds, but also fights at 147, and is willing to take on anyone that's in the top 10 or top 15 in both respective weight classes. And he will be part of a triple header being put on by Showtime. The main event on that night will be Andre Berto against Jesus Soto Caras, and that'll be part of a triple header, and it should be a very, very entertaining card. We'll also talk briefly about the Mayweather-Canelo Alvarez press tour and how that's going. 11 different cities. The last time there was a tour this huge was Mayweather against Oscar de la Hoya, and we know that broke all box office records. Over 2 million people saw that fight. So that's what Mayweather and Canelo hope to achieve by visiting all these different cities. So we're going to cover a lot here on today's show, and we just got breaking news that on October 5th, we will finally have a pretty intriguing heavyweight championship title match. It's actually a unification bout as Vladimir Klitschko defends his title against Alexander Povetkin. The fight will take place in Russia on October 5th. So it should be a very interesting fight in terms of Klitschko going on the road and being in Russia. A lot of people, including myself, have berated Povetkin for ducking Klitschko for way too long. And now the fight finally happens. Both fighters undefeated, and we'll see what Povetkin brings to the proverbial dance, because I don't see him doing all that well against Klitschko. But,
well, you know what, Prophet? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we actually have Jackie Kallen now, and she only has a little time, so we are going to bring her on, okay?
Great. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Jackie, you're here with myself and Richard, the boxing prophet Solomon. How are you today?
Fine. Hi, Richard. How's everything?
Hi, Jackie. Everything's great. Pleasure to have you on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We'll do it again, too. I enjoy talking to Christy, and I'm sure that you guys have some interesting subjects to cover.
We have so many, but I know you have like 10 minutes. So, Jackie, thank you again. And how are you over there in Detroit?
Oh, just great. Can't complain. It's summer here, and it's been a long time coming, so I'm very happy to say the weather's finally decent.
Yeah, decent. I mean, there's a high humidity and 100 degrees?
No, it's not. Thank goodness. I think that's more out west. We have just typical summer weather. So anyways, let's talk boxing, guys.
Boxing. Okay. You know, first question I was told that I have to ask you is about the spoons.
Oh, the spoons, Marianne and Butch.
Yes, I was told, ask Jackie about the spoons. Can you tell me what she's talking about?
What she's talking about is, I was around when those two first met, before they even got married, which is, 10, 15 years ago at least, and they were just glued to each other. I mean, those two were just the most cuddly, affectionate couple. He was in the, obviously in the commission at the time, Nevada Commission, and Marianne was taking pictures, and those two just fell in love, and they were like two little spoons in a drawer. So I just always referred to them as the spoons, and I've thought of them that way ever since.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, Marianne just thinks of you as her mentor and respects you 100%, like many others of us.
Oh, that makes me feel really great. Being the first, in a sense, to kind of worm my way into this business, I always appreciate the respect of the other women that have come along after me, you included, of course.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we have. And, you came on, one of the first women. And, that's what I wanted to ask you. I know I come across a lot of, it's hard sometimes because men don't always want you involved. And you must have had it 100% more. Can you tell us what you came across being a woman at that time?
You have to understand that I got involved in boxing, it was 35 years ago, so it was the 70s, and it was a much different time. Men were a lot more chauvinistic. The women's lib movement was kind of frowned upon because they thought most of the women that were involved in anything to do with that were, dykey lesbian women who hated men. And here I was, this married Jewish suburban woman that loved men, so I didn't really fit that mold. And yet nobody could figure out what I was doing around all these fighters. What was my motive? And they tried to block me as much as they could in all different kinds of ways. They would try to assume that I was involved romantically with everybody. It could be fighters, could be promoters, judges, anybody. And, so of course you have to deal with the rumors and the innuendos. And then there was always that old boys club where, they'd all get together and say, well, let's not use her kid on our card. We'll use someone else. Or they would say, let's use her kid, but we'll get him bumped off. They would tell me that I was fighting a guy, that my guy was fighting somebody 12-5. And I'd say, yeah, that sounds great, no problem. Then we'd get there at the weigh-in, and they'd say, oh, well, he couldn't make it, so here's your last-minute substitution. He was like 25-0 with 24 knockouts. And, what's your choice? You either take the fight or you don't. But in the case of James Toney, I always took the fight because I knew he could pretty much handle himself. But they set me up to fail quite a few times, and I just kind of hung in there.
Yeah, you had James Toney. I guess he's probably the most famous. But then you had also Bobby Hitz, and is it Bronco McCart, if I pronounce that correctly?
Bronco McCart and Tom Boom Boom Johnson and Joseph Chuanuka and Tarek Salmas. Yeah, I had so many wonderful kids all during the late 80s and all through the 90s. And it was such a pleasure because Detroit's such a boxing mecca. There's so much going on all the time here. And between the Kronk Gym and my Galaxy Gym and some of the other gyms, we had just so much great sparring all the time because there were so many kids in the same weight classes. So it was just gym wars every day. So the guys that came out of Detroit could pretty much hold their own against anybody because they'd been used to such amazingly tough sparring in the gym. So it was a great learning area for these kids. They came up, it was like a college education. So those days were really great in the terms of the number of gyms. And it's changed greatly. I don't know how it is in other cities, but the boxing scene here in Detroit has diminished tremendously, and especially since we lost Emanuel Stewart in the Kronk Gym. That's put a big hole in everybody's hearts and in the boxing community. Oh, yeah.
I was fortunate enough to meet Emanuel Stewart. What a man, huh? I know he was a mentor and loved by many.
Oh my gosh, he's the one that gave me my start. So I don't think I'd be in this business if it weren't for Emanuel Stewart. So, yeah, he was a great guy.
So Emanuel Stewart was never blocked your way. Was never one of those guys that was sexist or gave you a hard time.
Not at all. The first time I met him, I was a journalist, and I did an article on Tommy Hearns. And then I ended up doing one on Emanuel. Then I ended up doing one on several of the other Kronk fighters. And he hired me as a publicist because he wanted me to do the press kits and set up all the, the weigh-ins and the pre-fight parties. And I was with him for 10 years before I even attempted to manage on my own. So I got my education kind of really at his feet. And he was always there to encourage me. He never one time made me feel that I didn't belong. And if anybody else did, he would tell them, just leave her alone. She knows more about boxing than you do. And so it was his confidence in me that really gave me the impetus to keep going.
That's wonderful. We need more people like that want to be mentors and want to help, and not like some of these other guys. With James Toney, what really happened? Why are you guys not together today since you're still boxing?
Well, and I'm sorry about that, actually, because I really wish he weren't. I think that everybody has their day in the sun, and I feel like his, was back when, he was middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight champ. And I really wish at 45 he wasn't still fighting, but that's his choice. But we were together for 6 years, and I took him from kind of a drug dealer on the streets in Detroit and built him into a world champion and spent so many days, months, weeks, years with him, living in my house for a while and getting to know his family and him knowing my family. And, boxing's a strange sport. And what happens is when you get to a certain point of fame and money, everybody wants to be a part of it. So he had a lot of people whispering in his ear. And when the contract was up after 6 years, somebody offered him what he thought was a better deal. And off he went. And, at first it was very painful for me because he was like my kid. And so I took it personally, and I was really very despondent about that. But over the years we talked about it, and, we even worked together again briefly in about 2002 for a fight where he got a title at cruiserweight. And, he'll always be a part of my life. He's always going to be somebody that has tremendous meaning to me because we kind of put each other on the map. But, I learned that that's kind of the nature of the sport, and I don't take it personally anymore. If somebody doesn't work out with a fighter, I just wish them the best and send them along their way because that's just the only way you can do it. Otherwise, you'd make yourself crazy.
It's hard, though. As a manager, didn't you feel like you did every aspect of his career, from his personal, letting him stay with you, to the business side? To have somebody walk out like that, that's hard.
It was really hard because, when someone lives in your house, I planned his wedding to his first wife. He stood up for my kids' weddings. He came on family vacations with us. He was a big part of my life. And when he left, it was like one of your kids taken off. And, it was difficult. But, there'll always be a place for James in my family and in my heart. My kids still stay in touch with him. And whenever I see him, we run over and hug each other. And, we have a lot of wonderful memories together. And that's the part that I choose to hold on to. And the rest of it's just business, and you can't take it personally.
And why do you think he is still fighting? I mean, being a 12-time world champion, he's been boxing for years. Why do you think he needs to keep going and keep fighting?
Well, he's been fighting for 25 years, and he's really had so many fights. And at his best, he was a Hall of Famer for sure. So once he retires, I'm sure he'll be in the Hall of Fame. But I think sometimes it's a double-edged sword. Part of it is you miss the adulation, walking into the ring and all the people cheering and, people slapping your hand and coming up for autographs. That's very intoxicating. And also it's the money. When you've boxed for all of your adult life, you don't really have other skills that you can go out and get a job somewhere. Unless you have the ability to go into announcing like Paulie's doing or like, Tarver's done or, Roy Jones Jr. Some of them have made a real nice transition. But James doesn't seem to have the personality to go into broadcasting. I don't think he has the patience to be a trainer, so I'm not sure what he's going to do when he isn't fighting anymore. So I think it's just a habit. It's what he does. It's who he is, and I don't think he's ready to give that up yet.
Yeah, to be exact, he's had 88 fights. I mean, that's compared to many and probably a lot of amateur fights. So compared to many people today, that is tons. He could be an official, though, Jackie. We could use him as a referee and judge.
Oh gosh, there's lots of things he could do, and eventually I think he will come to the realization that he's a valuable asset to the sport with all his experience, and he'll find a place for himself. I would at any time welcome him to co-manage a fighter or to co-promote shows or whatever he wants. I mean, I'll always be here for James in some capacity, but that has to be his decision because I don't think any of us can make those choices for each other. We each have to just do what's right for us.
Very true, very true. And what about, I know there was a Kareem Mayfield and then Michael Dallas. Are you still managing him?
Yes, and Michael Dallas has taken a bit of a break after he had that, really hard loss that he had to Matisse back in January, and that was a first-round knockout. It's always hard to come back from. If you fight your best and you go 12 rounds and you lose, even if it's unanimous and you didn't win very many rounds, at least you finished the fight and you made a good showing. But when you get annihilated and devastated right off the bat, don't get out of the first round, it really makes you question yourself as a fighter. what do I have, and do I really belong up here with these guys? And I think that coupled with the fact that his father passed away a few months before that fight, and then his wife just had a baby, his girlfriend, I think that all of that together was very overwhelming, and, he's just taking a break.
Yeah, that's very overwhelming. But you know what? I mean, nobody wants a first-round knockout. But if you're knocked out by anybody, at least it was Lucas Matisse. You know what I mean? He is a phenomenal athlete, just like Michael Dallas. And everyone can get caught.
And you know what? And just like Triple G, I mean, that guy can punch like nothing. So when you get stopped by somebody like that, it's what are you going to say? It's like getting hit by a truck. It happens. And, but it's still very hard on the ego. It's hard on your pride. And, I think it takes time to come back from that. He has a wonderful trainer, Virgil Hunter's great, and he's right now one of the hot trainers in the sport. And when Michael's ready to go back, he will.
He is the hot.
And in the meantime,
I was watching him the other day, Virgil Hunter. He's so funny. They were funny. They were calling him the boxing whisperer, the way he kind of whispers in the corner sometimes.
He is very calm, very mellow, and that works with some guys. Other guys, you got to get right in their face and just yell at them and say, "You're blowing it, son." And you have to know the style to use with each particular fighter. And a good trainer knows that. He knows what motivates the man in front of him. And Virgil's great at that.
That's true. Now, what about your new one, Leandre White? How's he doing?
Oh, he's adorable. He's 3-0. His name is Blue. That's his nickname, Blue. And his uncle was a fighter, Lanny Blue Edmonds, so he just took over the Blue nickname. But he's wonderful. He's fighting again next month here in Detroit, and he's a 154-pounder. And I have, high hopes, like I always do. I always come out of the chute aiming for a world championship with my fighters. And some of them make it, and some of them fall short. But we always go for the top. We don't shoot low and see what happens. We really shoot for the best and then try to make it happen.
Yep, you have to be optimistic and instead of pessimistic like some people, optimism. And you were telling me about Phil Lee as his trainer, and then is it Keith Lee was James Toney's trainer? Is that his brother, his father?
It's his father. It's the craziest thing because when I first got James Toney back in 1988 or 89, Keith Lee was his trainer. And he had a bunch of little kids. One of them was this little kid, Phil. And now here we are, 20-some-odd years later, and Phil's a grown man, and he's training boxers, and now he's training my next generation of fighters. So, and then Big Daddy Keith, he comes to the gym, too, and kind of overlooks everything. But it's just nice that you make lifetime friends in boxing, and people that you run into on the way up are the same people you're going to run into when you're at the top or when you're back at the bottom, or either way, going up or down, we kind of see the same people. So it really pays to make good friends and keep good friends.
That's so true, because everybody remembers if you're not nice to them on the way up or on the way down. So always be nice. And now this
let me tell you,
still that
karma, girl, because that's the biggest thing in life. Oh, boy.
Yes.
It's always going to come back and bite you.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to Layman Brewster actually yesterday. He's going to come on this next week and talk about karma. His accountant, poor guy. Layman's such a nice, sweet guy and trusted.
One of the nicest, one of the sweetest, nicest boxers ever, especially being a big heavyweight. Just a wonderful kid. Anyways, I hate to rush, but I got to go. But I'd love to do this again. Because, guys, we've got to talk about so many fights coming up.
Tell us your book, though. Okay, just mention your book, Between the Ropes.
Okay, the book,
right?
It's called Between the Ropes. It's coming out September 3rd, Bush Publishing, and it's my memoir. It's my whole life story, all the things that weren't in the movie because the movie was so inaccurate that I had to tell my own story because Hollywood kind of took their own view of my life and changed it around. But I'll send you a copy, Christy, as soon as it's hot off the press.
I would love it. And I miss you out here in L.A. I mean, Jackie does all these charities. I miss her. Well, thank you so much. And please come on soon.
And, guys, give me another shot where I have a little longer.
Yes, anytime. Please come back. We'd love to see you and hear from you.
Thanks,
you.
Honey.
Take care. Bye-bye. You there, Prophet?
I'm here.
Well, she's a great lady. I wish we had more time with her, huh? Wasn't she fantastic?
Great as always. And I actually, when I heard she was coming on the show, I did my research, so I wound up seeing the film Against the Ropes, where Meg Ryan portrayed Jackie Kallen, and Omar Epps portrayed the fighter that she brought along, I'm presuming to be James Toney, and I didn't think it was a fair movie. I didn't think it did her justice, to be honest with you.
Well, that's why she just wrote her own memoir, Between the Ropes, and as she was telling me off the air, she was saying how this is kind of what happened in between, and you heard what she said, that it was, they took the liberties. You know, Hollywood always takes liberties to do the stories the way they want to. So now we get to hear what her real story is all about. Are you going to read the book?
I'm going to read the book. I'm fascinated by her. She lived a great life. I mean, she before she even got into boxing, she was a journalist for a magazine, and she interviewed such legendary musical acts as the Rolling Stones, Frank Sinatra, and Elvis.
Yep.
She went from doing that to being the publicist for Hearns, and then the rest is, well documented. She's certainly a fascinating lady.
She is, I know. I mean, I was just, fascinated when I found out that she was, a journalist for Frank Sinatra and the Rolling Stones, and she transitioned from music to boxing. I mean, that's quite an interesting transition, don't you think?
It's great. I mean, those are two of my passions, believe it or not. I'm very passionate, as you know, about the sport of boxing, and everyone loves music, whether, it's rock and roll or pop music, whatever, to each his own. But it's just a very fascinating life she's, been living. It's great. They don't call her the First Lady of Boxing without reason. When James Toney shocked the world and he knocked out Michael Nunn back in the 11th round in 1991, people forget. A lot of boxing experts were saying Michael Nunn was the next Sugar Ray Leonard. They were even calling for Michael Nunn to face Sugar Ray Leonard. Pound for pound, Nunn was probably maybe in the top 3 on everyone's pound for pound list. And the fact that Toney went into Nunn's hometown of Davenport, Iowa, and scored what many believed a shocking upset. Jackie Kallen was partially responsible for that, for her managing James Toney in the way she did. And I was very happy because I was always a huge James Toney fan, and I was going to ask her, how does she think that James Toney would do against, guys like Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Bernard Hopkins, who are probably, along with James Toney, the 3 best middleweights I've seen over the past, I would say, 25, 30 years. It would be interesting to see what she thought of that.
Yeah, well, next time, hopefully she'll come on soon. Maybe when her book comes out, she'll come on again. But while we have topics today. We're going to talk about Golovkin versus Macklin recap. We're going to talk about the Mayweather-Canelo press tour, which you talked about last week. We're going to kind of recap that a little bit. We're going to also talk about Tony Thompson versus David Price. And I want to let you know, though, today, if you are in Los Angeles at the Nokia Theater at 6:30 p.m., you can go see Mayweather and Canelo yourself. They are having their press tour today. I believe it's the last one, unless they add dates. So in Los Angeles, at it's the Nokia LA Live at 6:30 p.m., you can see Mayweather and Canelo. So, before we go to a commercial, and I'm going to have Ben Lira come on. Ben Lira works with Abel Sanchez. Abel says that Ben is the only one that he will let in the corner with him. So Ben Lira, and we had Ben on the show earlier at another time. He was my coach as well. He's going to come on and talk about Triple G and the Macklin fight because he was in the corner with them. So he knows firsthand of what happened. But before we go on, why don't we just talk about, since we're talking about James Toney, Prophet, why don't you just kind of talk a little bit about James Toney and what do you think about his future and what his past fight that he had this weekend?
Yeah, the past fight was kind of a disgrace that James Toney is in the ring. He's bloated. He's way overweight. And he's fighting someone with a record of 12 wins, 7 losses, and 8 knockouts, and barely wins the decision. I believe he was announced as the loser of the fight. And then
let's tell them, though, Prophet, Let's just tell him. Okay, it's Denver. It was Denver's Kenny Lemus. Lemus, his record is 12-8-2, and while we have Tony's record, which is pretty amazing, he has 75 wins, 45 KOs. He's lost only 8 and has 3 draws. I mean, that's impressive. As you heard Jackie say, he's been fighting for a long, long time. And so they fought, and yes, they did announce the wrong decision at first, and then the winning decision for Tony was 77-75, 77-75, and 79-73 on the judges' scorecards. So now, after I rudely interrupted you, Prophet, continue.
No, Jackie hit it on the head. I mean, James Toney is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, he wins the IBF middleweight title and defends it 6 times, the upset of Michael Nunn, and he fought Mike McCallum twice, destroys Iran Barkley to win the IBF super middleweight title, defends that belt 3 times. I know he had the big loss to Roy Jones Jr., but it was clear that James Toney had problems making weight. I believe leading up to the fight, he was as high as 25 pounds overweight with a couple of weeks before that fight, and Roy Jones pretty much dominated Toney and handed him really his only real beating as far as being in his prime was concerned. That was the only embarrassment on Tony's resume, that loss. But no, he went up to light heavyweight, had enormous success fighting as a light heavyweight, lost twice to Montel Griffin. Both fights could have gone either way. I actually had Tony winning both those fights, but Montel Griffin got the benefit of the judge's decision, so it kind of stopped James Toney from getting a shot at a light heavyweight championship. So he just moved up, and in a fight that I saw at Foxwoods, he beat Vasily Jirov to win the cruiserweight championship, and so he is a champion in 3 different weight classes. And if he, technically speaking, he moved up to heavyweight, and he did defeat John Ruiz for the heavyweight championship of the world, but he failed a drug test. Apparently, he used an anabolic steroid, and so the fight was changed to a no contest. So James was flirting for a while with boxing history. I mean, how many men do you know that started off as middleweight champion of the world and moved all the way up and won a portion of the heavyweight title? Only a guy like Roy Jones has done that, and oddly enough, he also defeated Johnny Ruiz, Roy Jones did, to win a portion of the heavyweight title. But James Toney, in his prime, at his best, is a Hall of Fame caliber fighter who I think could give any great middleweight champ a run for their money, whether it was Roy Jones Jr., Bernard Hopkins, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, any of those guys, even the greatest fighter of all time, Sugar Ray Robinson, who's known more as being a welterweight, but did have many wars as a middleweight. I even think James Toney could give him problems. I don't think he beat Sugar Ray Robinson. Nobody could. That's why Sugar Ray Robinson's the greatest pound-pound fighter of all time. But James Toney has had a great career. I don't know why he's still fighting today. I definitely think he needs to retire ASAP. I've heard him in interviews on YouTube and various other media outlets, and his speech is slurring, and I just hope that he doesn't get hurt. He has a great resume, and he should just really just fade off, into the sunset and get ready for his induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame whenever he's eligible, because he is a great ambassador to the sport of professional boxing as far as I'm concerned.
That's hard. That's so hard for to go off into the sunset. But, some people do it gracefully and others keep fighting. I just would hate to see it end in a bad way for him. I'd love, like you said, I'd like him just to kind of go out gracefully and find some other facet of boxing that he can. I mean, he's got so much knowledge. He could be he could be an analyst or a personal trainer, or just give feedback or help fighters. There's so many things he could do, don't you think?
Yes, and he's a vibrant guy. When I was at Foxwoods, it was priceless. After he beat Jirov, I saw him and his family in a restaurant inside the the hotel, and he was passing out Victory cigars to all of his fans. So I actually lit up a Victory cigar and hung out with James Toney and his family at Foxwoods after he won the belt from Giroff. It was one of the most priceless moments of my life as a boxing fan, and I'll never forget it. And he did make that cameo appearance in the movie Ali with Will Smith. Oddly enough, he played Joe Frazier in that movie, and he was only on the screen for a few minutes. But you could see he's a bubbly guy, great personality, very, very funny. I used to love his post-fight interviews. Yes, for those that are a little bit, PG-13, yes, James Toney was at times brash and loud and cursed a lot and used a lot of profanities in his post-fight interviews, which could turn some people off. But I was always a James Toney fan, and I loved his defense. I loved the way he was old school, the way he would turn into punches along the ropes. I mean, when he defeated Iran Barkley for the super middleweight title, he basically fought along the ropes the whole fight and dared Iran the Blade Barkley, who was one tough dude, to come fight him against the ropes. And he counterpunched off the ropes beautifully. And he's just very, very underrated defensively, very, very talented guy. I mean, he stopped Evander Holyfield when Evander Holyfield still had something left in the proverbial tank. And that just says volumes about James Toney as a fighter.
Yeah, and it's hard when you're fighting against the ropes and only, let's say, 2 judges can see you. That's a very dangerous and hard place to be to fight a whole fight. So you have to give him a lot of credit for that and for winning against Evander Holyfield, who's another phenomenal athlete right there, and another one who you never know might come back and start fighting again. I don't think they ever retire, really. I was reading the article about James Toney and when he was just now in Colorado, and he loved it over there, and he thought it was so much nicer than the people here in L.A. I think the people here in Los Angeles are pretty nice, but I guess in Colorado maybe they're a little more laid back. Not kind of like Brooklyn, right? Prophet, laid back.
The word laid back doesn't apply to Brooklyn. Brooklyn is, is 24/7 Brooklyn. The Beastie Boys said it best, Christy. No sleep till Brooklyn, if you get my drift.
I get your drift. I love New York. I love the pizza, the Chinese food, all the food you can get there, and the energy of the people. I love it. So you don't have to tell me. I think I'd fall asleep living in Colorado. I know. I love it. I'm an East Coast girl at heart. I'm telling you, Prophet. So what I'm thinking now is we should take a commercial, call Ben Lira, come back and have some good Triple G conversation. What do you think?
I think we're going to talk about the metamorphosis of a superstar. Anyone who questioned Triple G, forget about it. He's a superstar, and we're going to talk about just why he is the next great attribute to the sport of boxing.
Nobody is going to have any doubts about him anymore. If you do, you're kind of crazy. I don't know. But I want to remind everyone that today, go over to LA Live, 6:30 begins the press conference. They arrive at 6:30. Press conference begins at 7:30. Over there right at Chick Hearn Court, Nokia, LA Live, Los Angeles, you can see Canelo Alvarez and Floyd Mayweather, and I'm sure many of you are running over there. I have students that keep saying to me, when are you putting Canelo on? When are you going to put Canelo on? I'm like, if Canelo wants to come and talk to us, we'll put him on. We got to get Canelo. And Mayweather, I'd love to talk to Pretty Boy. I'd like to talk to him what he thinks about Paulie Malignaggi and Adrian Broner. That would be an interesting one. So we will come back. We're actually going to come back rather soon. We're going to take a little break. Before we go, though, I want to let you know that we are on live right now, so you can call us at 347-324-5778. You can Twitter at Real Combat Media. You can Twitter myself at Boxing Girl, which is BXINGIRL. And the Boxing Prophet, you want some prophecies, go to at Boxing Prophet 68. You can find us on Facebook at Real Combat Media. Go right in the search bar. Later on this evening, we are going to have Keith one-time Thurman. He's going to come on and talk to us after he gets done working out. Looking forward to having him on the show. He's another knockout maniac there. He's knocked out every person he's fought except for the last one. So I'm looking forward to talking to Keith Thurman. And we will be back in just about a minute and 32 seconds after the commercial. Stay tuned.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, episode 20. I'm your host, Christy Rosario, with our co-host, Richard, the Boxing Prophet Solomon. You can call us at 347-324-5778, or you can Twitter us at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is at BoxingGirl, BXINGIRL, and Prophet's Boxing Twitter is at BoxingProphet68. And Facebook, we have Real Combat Media. Later this evening, I guess this evening in the East Coast, later this afternoon in the West Coast, we will have Keith One-Time Thurman. He's going to come on and join us. And we are waiting to get Ben Lira. Not quite sure what's going on with him. He may be busy at the gym right now. So, Prophet, are you there? Prophet?
I am here, and I can't wait. That's how eager I am to discuss the maturation process of Triple G, a man who I touted as a superstar years ago. Even before he knocked out Rosado at the theater in Madison Square Garden, I knew Triple G was on the cusp of greatness, and people doubted him. They said, wait till he fights an elite fighter, and he just keeps on getting better and better with each performance. And what I saw this past Saturday night was unbelievable. And with all due respect to Adonis Stevenson, many people are calling his first-round knockout over Chad Dawson the knockout of the year. How often do you see a body shot like that paralyzes someone? I mean, the way Matthew Macklin went down, he was in agony. I mean, he was down for a good, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. If that doesn't win KO Magazine's Knockout of the Year, then there's something seriously wrong with the journalists that vote for the magazine. That was about as paralyzing a body shot as I've ever seen in all my years of watching professional boxing matches.
Well, Prophet, for just a minute or two, why don't you just tell us about your experience at the press conference for Canelo and Mayweather?
Sure. I mean, I was in New York City anyway, so I took it upon myself as a boxing fan to go to the Mayweather-Canelo press conference, and we spoke about it briefly on our last show. They're doing an 11-city tour. The last time any tour of this magnitude took place was Mayweather de La Hoya, and it wound up doing over 2 million buys, the most watched boxing match in the history of professional boxing. And let's get one thing straight. Mayweather knows that he dropped the ball against Robert Guerrero in terms of attracting viewers. You know, a lot of boxing fans, including myself, are not particularly enthused that Mayweather took it upon himself to fight Victor Ortiz and Robert the Ghost Guerrero in back-to-back fights. Both of them are solid fighters in their own rights, but none of them are pound-for-pound material. And so, by Mayweather's standards, the Guerrero fight downright flopped at the box office. It only did 850,000 buys. Mayweather's people will tell you it did 1 million buys. I don't believe it for a second. And so now, if he doesn't fight Canelo, you know, his appeal as a superstar will fall. And so he's taking what some perceive as a risk against Canelo. Others say Canelo's not experienced enough, even though he did beat Austin Trout in his last fight. It was a fight that I thought could have gone either way, whether you had a 7-5 for Trout or 7-5 for Canelo. Very, very close fight. But Canelo's being groomed as the Mexican De La Hoya. The girls love him. He's a handsome guy, and I'm sure all the ladies that'll buy this fight or go to the fight are going to root for Canelo. Mayweather is the ultimate villain, even though he's been very, very gracious in all these press conferences, thanking Golden Boy, thanking Canelo. And, you know, Mayweather's basically on his farewell tour. The days of Floyd being a villain, I think, are gone, but I'm sure the way they're going to promote the fight is Showtime will do maybe 5 episodes of Fight Camp Confidential 360, and they'll, once again, Floyd, when the camera's on him, will portray himself as the villain, and it'll make more people want to root for Canelo, and more people will buy the fight. You know, I just miss Floyd being on HBO. I'm not one that tunes into reality shows on a regular basis, but I've always been a huge fan of 24/7, and I always thought that HBO did a great job in promoting the big fights, better than Showtime. So we'll see what Showtime has to offer us in terms of, you know, how they preview the fight on the network. But both guys obviously will get a lot of exposure, and the press conference was what I expected. Mostly Canelo fans. I would say about maybe it was 70% Canelo fans, 30% Mayweather fans. A lot of young girls screaming for Canelo like he was a matinee idol.
That must have been painful for you, all those young girls around you screaming. Were they screaming profit, profit, or Canelo, Canelo? What do you think?
I thought I heard a couple of girls yell profit, profit, but for the most part, I thought I was at like a Justin Bieber or a Backstreet Boys concert, because there were 16, 17-year-old girls screaming for Canelo, and which I kind of expected. And I think it's, you know, Showtime's got to really capitalize on this marketing ploy, with Canelo being the matinee idol like De La Hoya was, and Mayweather being the villain. Because, like I said earlier, Mayweather dropped the ball against Ghost Guerrero. You know, I went on this show and said that if he wants to continue to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, fighting Victor Ortiz and Robert the Ghost Guerrero back-to-back is not the way to do it. He's got to fight Canelo Alvarez, you know, beat him decisively, and then face someone else who's borderline top 10 pound-for-pound. And to Mayweather's credit, he is doing that, and I don't want to hear any excuses after this fight's over. You know, if you're pro-Canelo, I don't want to hear any excuses. Well, Canelo wasn't ready. He's only 22 years old. He's not experienced enough. You didn't say that when you put him in the ring against Sugar Shane Mosley and Austin Trout. We didn't hear any of those excuses before those fights, and I don't want to hear all the people, if Mayweather loses, well, you know, he's up there in age now. He doesn't have the legs that he once had. Against the Ghost Guerrero, he showed tremendous ring generalship and tremendous defense. So either way, I just don't want to hear any excuses in either camp. And I just hope there's a definitive winner. There's no politics, no ridiculous scorecards. I just want to see the better man win. And for once, we'll have a great, glorious night of boxing. And believe me when I tell you, Christy, this is how big I think this fight could be. I think it will probably wind up being the lead story on ESPN. And whenever boxing is the lead story on ESPN, it's always great for professional boxing.
Well, I agree. But you know what? Talking about handsome guys, I'm going to have to introduce our next guest who's been waiting to talk. And I do appreciate that recap, Prophet. But we want to get on to Triple G. And we have Ben Lira here on the line. You there, Ben?
Yes, I am. Hello, Christy. How's everything?
Hello, Ben. Good to hear from
Yes.
you. Man, I love this guy. It's always great to see him, great to hear from him. And I got to watch him on TV with Triple G. Even at the end when they were announcing, you could see Ben right there and clear. I was so excited, Ben. How are you?
Okay, I'm good. Everything, of course, it's all great. We had a great win. I believe we made a statement, and or he did, and now let's see what happens with it.
Now, is Sergio Martinez coming or not? What do you think?
Well, I think that first of all, he's R&R right now, I guess, a leg and an arm or whatever else that he's having to deal with.
Who is that? Is that Triple G? Is that Martinez?
No,
Who's
I'm talking
R&R?
about Martinez. You asked me Martinez.
Okay.
I think he's R&R right now, and I think that
Spain, I think he's in.
Right, maybe May and closer to the end of the year of 14. So he's for this. Right now, at this moment, that's out of the picture. Even though I'm sure that Golovkin would like to, challenge that, get that opportunity to see if he could, see who stays with what titles and go forward. Because it would be the best fight out there as far as recognizing who the best middleweight is. So, let's see what happens, but it's not going to happen within the next 6, 7, or 8 months. It's going to be a little longer than that. So we have to go with what's going to be offered, or they will, and see the outcome of those opposing opponents.
Well, let's talk about what happened. So, for those people that didn't see the fight, and I think everybody saw it because I get text messages, I get Facebook, I get everything about a monster that Triple G is. Gennady Golovkin, third round KO, 1 minute and 22 seconds in the third round. And this Matthew Macklin was no slouch. Great fighter. I honestly felt bad for Macklin because he looked like he was in survival mode from, after the first half of the first round. How was Gennady, getting ready? Does he get any, does he get nervous at all or anything in the dressing room?
Actually, he wasn't. And being with him the rest of his last 4 fights, I feel that he actually wanted to prove something more, to show more than what the fight from his last fight with Rosado, being that, or actually it was Ashida, but he wanted the Rosado was kind of a step back to him because he was a little sick. He wanted to show better than what he did. I think in his mind, in what he thought was, I have the doubters out there. I have the questions out there. Am I making excuses? Am I doing this? So this kind of added to the intensity of they think I got a tougher opponent. They believe that this guy is going to take me to another dimension as far as who I am and what I bring. That of course he felt that there was a little more involved in this fight other than the other ones. It seemed to us anyway, it seemed to me. I saw the intensity a little more with him, not a nervous intensity, not a just to prove who he was and a statement that he felt that he needed to make to the public and to the boxing writers and that. So it brought that out in him. And I think that he kind of wanted that. So, of course, the fight had more value, without a doubt, had more value to him.
I remember watching the special on, with Rosado and Gennady, and how Rosado after the fight was like, this guy hits harder than anybody. And it seems like everyone that has fought him says the same thing. I mean, you could tell Macklin, too, was like, this guy's the best guy I've ever fought. I mean, is there really someone out there that could beat Gennady at this stage in his life?
You're asking the wrong guy, Christine.
I know, and you told me about Gennady before I even knew who Triple G was, Ben. You're like, this guy is fantastic, and I'm like, who are you talking about? And then now I know. So who's out there, Ben?
Well, I think that he's made that statement to thousands and thousands of viewers. But I don't know who's out there. I think that they need to come out of wherever they're at and then see if they are a challenge to him. I honestly believe that there isn't anybody out there, and I'm not disrespecting any of the fighters and who they are, and believe me, I don't. I think boxing is not an easy sport, and it takes a lot of courage and toughness and dedication to be there. So with that saying, I don't disrespect anybody. I think they all have a chance to prove who they are, and that. But besides that, I think that this young man is such a complete fighter, so determined, so confident, and I think that's one of the key things that you will see in him when he fought, when you've seen these fights from him, the confidence level, and I think you saw that with Macklin once he did it. Even with Rosado, even the way he was with Rosado was the confidence of, you can't beat me, I'm going to get you, you are going to feel my strength, you are going to feel my power, I will dominate you. And in the words that he sort of kind of phrases certain things, that is what he thinks, and this is what he shows, and without a doubt, that's why I feel that the fact that he has those things so overwhelming, who's there to beat him? The question is, who is there to beat him? I don't know. I don't think there's, in the middleweight division, maybe if he goes up to super middleweight, there's a bigger challenge there for him. I don't know. I think we'll reach that when we reach it. But as of right now...
Okay, Ben, then I have a better question for you. Would someone have to really box with Triple G, like really keep him outside and move? What would they have to do to actually beat him? What can you do? Let's say they have that other athlete. He comes out of the blue somewhere. What does he have to do to beat Triple G, strategy-wise?
I think they have to be a complete guy. I mean, a complete fighter. Just the fact that they can move and maybe are skilled as far as the art of boxing, or in that way, that are more technical. That to some viewers they feel, or some knowledgeable people in boxing feel, that if they were to do that, and that's a strategy they will use, because obviously if you want to think you're going to go chin to chin with him, you're going to end up in the short end. But by the same token, if you think you're going to outbox him and you're going to, as you see, he's very capable of cutting off the ring. He does it very fluently. Eventually, they have to kind of mix with him. And again, it goes back to, can they handle what he brings? Can they handle his strength, his power, and the effectiveness of how he delivers his punches? Because it doesn't seem that he misses too many of them. He knows where he's going to go no matter what. He did that with Rosado. Rosado is not an easy guy to fight. He does have boxing skills. He does move. But is he strong enough to stop the freight train? That's the question, whether they can box or not. Can they stop the freight train? If they can't, it's almost like a Tyson. Can they stop this Tyson from coming? You want to move all you want, but eventually you're going to have to sit there, and at some point you're going to have to get into the exchanges. And this is where they have the doubt. Once they get caught with certain punches from him, whether it's a jab, a hook, a body shot, they feel the strength, they feel the power, they question themselves. They are going to go into defensive mode because they're going to question that. They're going to say, wow, he's amazingly strong. And you've heard that from all the fighters that he's fought. Unbelievably, they feel that they can stay with him until they have to receive what he delivers, and then the question gets in there. So unless you find that guy that can overcome those things and have the force to deal with the force, then maybe that's the guy. But I don't see any of them in the middleweight division right now. I just don't see him. So that still lies out there.
So let's say Triple G went up in a weight class. Who could you see fighting there? I mean, is that a possibility, or is it still you don't think there's anything?
No, Andre Ward is a tough guy to deal with. You know, he's a complete fighter. He's the bigger guy, of course, and would probably give him the biggest challenge. But at this point, to me, it doesn't make sense to want to go up there and just a fight for a fight unless that was built up so much that it was worth every bit of what the challenge is. So you go back and you say, okay, so DeAndre Ward, that's fine. I think down the line that's a good test. But right now, don't we want to deal with what we got? We want to deal with the Gills that now is saying, oh, he never wanted to fight him before, but now I hear he's making certain comments about that he's willing to take the charge, that he will become victorious if they fight. And well, that's fine. As Gennady would say, that's good because then we would have a fight. And that's as plain as he talks. Yeah. Definitely.
When Gennady came on the show and he was talking and he said, I'll fight anywhere, anytime. He'll fight Sergio Martinez in his home country of Argentina. I know he's afraid of nobody. And so you're saying that Andre Ward is now he's making grumblings about wanting to fight Triple G, huh? Interesting.
Well, I don't know that he said he's never mentioned it, and he's been in the media meetings with HBO. He sits in the conference talks. So he's not challenging him, but he's not backing off of him either.
So he didn't actually say. But did he ever say I would fight Gennady, or did Andre never say that?
I don't know that he said I believe that he just mentioned that if the fight would be made, that would be a great fight.
We could do our whole press tour. Gennady against Andre press tour around the world. Yeah. What do you think of that, Prophet? You think that would work?
I think it would be great, and I just wanted to ask Ben a couple of questions, if I may, and also make a couple of points. I don't see the winner of Mayweather-Alvarez moving up to middleweight because that fight's at a catch weight of 152 pounds. Sergio Martinez has already told ESPN Deportes he will not fight in 2013, that he's going to rest his arm and his knee and to be fresh in 2014. Ben, do you think it would make sense for Triple G to go after one of the other middleweight champions, maybe Daniel Gill or Peter Quillen? This way, he can unify the belts against Sergio Martinez in 2014 and make it more lucrative.
Prophet, of course, and they're trying to pursue that. Believe me, their Tom Lawler is the representative to Golovkin, and at the last press conference after the fight with Macklin, in the press conference after the fight, this was brought up to his attention. This was brought up, and Abel, the trainer, was asked the same questions, and he said, all we want some phone calls. We would like to have these representatives of these title holders to step up and want to make this happen. We'd be jumping in the air if something like this could be happen. But it seems that there's little ties, and somewhere down the line they feel that they would come in the short end. So is it that they're thinking that we want to hear numbers, and then we can say this right now so that numbers can start to jingle in the air. Maybe that's what it is. Because you know that Daniel Gill, when he won after he fought Sherm, the offer was made for him to put up his title, and Gennady would put up his 2 titles, and he would put up the IBF and that. And what we understand is that he would rather relinquish his title and go and keep on going on his and who he was going to fight, but not have to defend it, not put the title up against Gennady. Maybe he thought that he'll end up in the short end and that, so he doesn't. In other words, a loss will affect his career as far as what money he can make. So then, I guess how they want to program him, how they want to evaluate his career, that would be a deal. But I don't know. It's up there. Excuse me.
I think Quillen, you need to get the phone back.
Going back to Quillen. Yeah, it's another phone. I'm in the office. Quillen Quillen is another possible, but again, we're going back and saying, does he wanna take that challenge? Is he ready for that? He might say that, but it's not. He can make those statements, but does his promotion want to take that? I don't know. That's what we're. As far as Golovkin,
Triple G?
They would flourish with a chance to. We're looking for opponents. We're looking for guys that will step up and want to fight him. It doesn't matter who. Golovkin wants to take everybody, as you said, Christy. Statement that he made. Triple G says, I'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. Just to make.
And is he still going from 154 to 168, or is that just a really broad?
No. He can do that. He hit 159. He weighed 159. This is a guy that has breakfast the day of the weigh-in and has a light lunch and then goes to the weigh-in. And he does this every time. So him making the 160, as you see, where the other guys have to starve themselves for a day or 2 days, Triple G doesn't have to do none of the above. He will have breakfast in the morning. I tell him, look, you know what he's going to do? He's going to get up. What he's going to do tomorrow, the day of the weigh-in? He's going to get up. He's going to have breakfast. He's going to have a light lunch, and then he's going to go to the weigh-in. And he still make 159. So, obviously, if you wanted to make it a special, get a big name, then how about if we just get down to the 154? His dream is to fight Mayweather. That's his dream. Will that happen? We don't know. But if you ask him, what would be the fight you would want more than anything else, it would be Mayweather. He'd love to fight Mayweather. Love it. That's his dream. He doesn't mention the other ones, but he will bring him.
I can't picture Mayweather wanting to fight Triple G. I don't think that's the gamble he would take. Maybe for money. You never know. Money talks.
When he gets to that level, and he's still, I guess he's guaranteed, or he's made a deal with Showtime that he's going to do 5 fights, and maybe when those 5 fights at the end of his last fight, after the 4th fight, then maybe the offer will be so tremendous that maybe he can't turn it down. It's all about money, I guess. It's all about whether. And I think that's how you get the opponents or the people that step up to fight you, like they do with Tyson. I guess the offers are so great that you'll say, hey, you know what? I'll take it. You're going to give me that kind of money. I'll go with it. So it's up to the offers of who's going to fight if they're willing to step up. I think that the chance that has to be taken is going to depend on what you're offering me to take it.
Any other question, Prophet?
Also, I was telling Christy before you came on that as boxing fans, we'd love to see violent knockouts, to the head and to the chin. But what made this knockout so special was what a paralyzing shot it was to the body. The right uppercut and the left hook to the liver, and Macklin went down like he was hit by a grenade. I think boxing fans don't appreciate knockouts like that. In your mind, is this the knockout of the year? Because a lot of people that I've spoken to on social media all love Adonis Stevenson's knockout, like I was mentioning, over Chad Dawson, but this is the type of body shot knockout that comes along once every, 10 or 15 years. Were you shocked at all at how brutal the violence and the ferocity of that body shot?
Prophet, I keep emphasizing when I talk to people with like some of the writers and stuff, and questions come up as far as, his strength and his delivery. I tell him he has a little. Somebody, I think it was Abel, gave him a little nickname, Superman, and I said if you wanted to put him in the category, he's Superman. He is Superman. So it's unbelievable the effect that he has on the punches and how he throws his punches and how they land. It's just unbelievable. And I've been in this business over 40 years. I made that statement from Bruce Trampler to them that they were up in Big Bear. I don't think I've ever seen somebody have that kind of effect, have that kind of delivery effect on another individual. I never, on fighters, on whatever division they had, whatever division they were in, excuse me. But I don't think that I've seen that. And he has that. And they're, as you see, Prophet, they're not winging shots. They don't come from the North Pole or the South Pole. No, they're very close. They're very, very compact, very, and yet it's almost like I said, his power is deep power. It's not just the fact that he hits hard. It's inner power. He will hit you with shots like hooks that you'll say go no more than 7 or 8 inches, but look the effect and the power that comes behind him. It's like he has that. He works pads. It's amazing. He worked the pads with Abel before the fight of this last fight. The commission guys are standing there, and as soon as he threw like about 6 or 7 punches, all you heard from them was wow, wow. And that tells you all about what you want to know. Bruce Trampler made a comment, and he said, it sounds like a truck hitting a freight train. And he was a Big Bear. And he says, listen to his punches. Yes, you do. Listen to how hard he hits. Again, we're not making them God, but I think that he is above the average guys out there. I think he's way up above them. Let's see what happens. You never, things can come and surprise you. But again, Prophet, and going back to the punch to the body, the Sheeta punch wasn't too bad off the shot. That was a mean shot. When he hit a Sheeta, that was a mean shot. I mean, did you see the thunder on that shot? It was a thunderous shot. He dropped in like a tree.
But Macklin's was interesting.
One shot. That was only one shot.
Oh, yeah, that was only one shot. So this one was like, it was an uppercut and then the hook, and then that's when Macklin went down. But he went down hard, too. I mean, he didn't get up after the 10 count. He was still down for a little while.
Oh, when he got hit with his face, did you see how his face grims? I mean, his face was like solidly in pain. It was like probably something that shocked him from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head.
Yes, that's something I never felt, Ben, thankfully.
No, I've never seen that. I've seen him kind of grince a little bit and they go down. De La Hoya with Bernard, I see a little glimpse. No, that was pain. You want to see pain? You saw pain.
Yes, we saw pain, but it was as looking, as us that enjoy watching the fight, the strategy. It was a very nice setup to that body shot, that's for sure. As people said, the liver shot, to the liver. And he delivered, that's for sure. Anything else, Prophet, for Ben?
Excuse me. The other one
I'm sorry, Ed.
Okay, I was going to say, and the thing is that makes it so that he made a statement was that, you can question the fact that now you could say, well, Macklin wasn't that great. He didn't do it. He didn't, do the fight he wanted to do because he wasn't allowed to. And once he felt what Triple G had, he wasn't going to challenge that. He right away it changed everything about him. So it just tells you.
He came out of that.
Yeah, what credit you have to give this individual.
A lot of credit. I mean, Macklin was nothing to sneeze at. Macklin is a great fighter. He just couldn't do the fight that he had planned to because Triple G just got him out of his whole plan right there. You could see that. You could see the frustration after a while, which,
and he did it intelligently.
Very intelligently. Yep. What do you think, Prophet? Anything else before we let Ben go today, since he's been fantastic?
Real quick, I think Triple G's a machine, and sky's the limit. He's definitely, that there are fighters like Mikey Garcia and Adrian Broner who are on the brink of superstardom, but I think Triple G's broken down the walls. He's definitely on, or should be on, everyone's pound-for-pound list. But Ben, it's my understanding Andre Ward wants a pay-per-view fight in the worst way. I don't think he wants to go to England and face Carl Froch in the rematch because, he beat him so decisively in that first match. So on HBO, in an interview with Jim Lampley, he said they're working on a fight with Andre Ward and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. for sometime maybe in the fall. And you said that it doesn't make sense now for Triple G to take on Ward. But if none of the middleweight champions want to face Triple G and Sergio Martinez, comes back in 2014 and he doesn't want any part of Triple G, can you just say, screw this, and we'll go on, we'll take a tune-up fight at super middleweight and then face the winner of Ward Chavez Jr., if indeed that fight takes place?
Of course. Without a doubt, I'm sure that they would, I think what they would relinquish, they would cherish that opportunity. I think that Tom and Abel would cherish the fact that they want the best fights out there. Without a doubt, they want the best fights out there. And if at that point that is the best fight out there, that's what's going to happen. Because Triple G will not want anything less. He will not ask. He wants whoever is the best of the best, that's who he wants. He's here to prove it. He keeps saying, he said, it's my job, this is what I do. And I want to be the best at it. So.
Well, you heard it here from Ben Lira, who is firsthand in the corner with Triple G over there in Foxwoods in Connecticut. I hope you had a good time over there, besides the fight, of course, Ben. Hope you got to see the sights a little bit.
It's a fabulous place. I had never been to Foxwoods. It's way out there. It seems like there's a big forest, and they went and got this casino and sports complex and everything else, and they just kind of set it in between all them trees because it's kind of way out there. And there's nothing really around it but forest. But once you're in the complex, in that setup, in the venue, it's a great place. It really is. It's amazing work. It's a nice place to get away in. It's a nice place to be in. I enjoyed it. And, of course, the outcome just kind of sweetened everything up. But we're back and Abel's setting up his plan, and let's see what comes out of this.
Well, thanks to you. Abel has been so nice. We've had Triple G, Joel Diaz, and Abel's come on a couple of times. And then you have been here a couple of times. So I want to thank you very much, Ben. It's always nice to hear from you, and you're so knowledgeable, and I always appreciate you. What do you say, Prophet? Isn't Ben fantastic?
I think it's great. Thanks a lot. And you have a superstar, and he's revolutionized the sport of boxing. He's one of my dream fights for 2014. A lot of people are going to say Triple G, Sergio Martinez. Forget that. I say Triple G against Andre Ward. This kid has options, and he's in it for the early knockout. He seeks and destroys. He cuts off the ring. He can jab. He can punch. He's pretty solid defensively. He's the total package, Ben. You should be very proud of this kid.
We are super proud of him. He is a complete guy. I guess at my age, I'm 40, as I say to him, he says thank you, but I return the thank you. No, it's not thank you. You don't thank me. I thank you to give me the opportunity to come back and be with such a super individual.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice. And nice when people stay humble and they're nice, and you could tell he was a really nice guy as well. And he should appreciate you, Ben, because you're equally a great trainer as he is a great boxer. So thank you so much for being on the call with us today, Ben, being on here on our radio show. And I'm going to see you soon, okay? You take care of yourself.
Okay, thank you, guys. Everything. We'll be talking some other time. All right.
We will talk soon. Have a good day. Thanks again. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Take care, Ben. So, Prophet, why don't we talk a little bit about Tony Thompson and David Price before Keith Thurman comes on the line?
Yeah, I think it's a heavyweight rematch that had to happen. David Price was 2012 ESPN's 2012 Prospect of the Year, and he was being hailed as the next heavyweight champion, really the only heavyweight out there with the exception of maybe Tyson Fury that could give either of the Klitschko's a run for their money. Then he fought Tony Thompson for a round and a half. I thought he was winning the fight. Yes, he was fighting cautiously, but he was clearly winning the fight with his jab, did land some power shots. And then late in the second round, Thompson just caught him with a right hand. It seemed to be behind the ear. Price went down. He got up. His legs were completely unsteady. The referee did a great job in stopping the fight. And a lot of people are going to perceive this victory for Tony Thompson as being sort of a fluke. Sort of like, when Hasim Rahman knocked out Lennox Lewis. You saw what happened in the rematch. Lennox Lewis destroyed Rahman in the rematch. And David Price, doesn't have the greatest names on his resume. I mean, he cleaned out the British heavyweight scene, knocking out Sam Sexton and Audley Harrison and Matt Skeleton and John McDermott. But really, Tony Thompson was the biggest name he faced to date and wound up losing. So this is huge for Price's career to get revenge. Thompson, has basically piled up victories over trial horses like Maurice Harris, Owen Beck, Chaz Witherspoon, Dominic Gwynn. He also fought Vladimir Klitschko twice, losing both fights by TKO. One time in the 6th round, the other time in the 11th round. Thompson also lost in his 6th professional fight to a kid named Eric Kirkland. So he has 3 losses, but he's got the better resume. It's interesting. Usually when you predict a fight, you go with the guy who has the better resume that has the higher quality of level of opposition. But, like I did, I believe it was last week when I predicted Seth Mitchell to get revenge against Jonathan Banks. This time there is some logic to my prediction about David Price getting his revenge. I just think Thompson, his best days are kind of behind him. He will use his lateral movement and his jab to try and get away from Price. But I think Price not only wants to win, but he wants to knock Thompson out early and make a statement. I believe that Tyson Fury is going to face David Haye in what should be a huge fight in England. I have no doubt that Price somewhere down the line wants to fight the winner of that fight to establish that he belongs in a title fight against either one of the Klitschko's, and I think he'll get his revenge. Thompson does have legs, so I think he'll probably make the fight go at least, maybe 5 or 6 rounds, but ultimately I like Price to stop Tony Thompson within 8. I guess if I had to pick a round, I'd say Price gets his revenge via a 7th round TKO. The only way this fight goes the distance is if Thompson does a lot of jabbing and holding, which I hope he doesn't do. But nevertheless, I do think that I'm very confident that Price gets the victory in the rematch. He'll stop Thompson, and then hopefully it's on to bigger and better things, and maybe he'll salvage.
Here, Prophet, take a breath for just a second. Let's just remind everybody that David Price, he has won 15, KO's 13, and lost only 1. And the one that he lost was to Tony Thompson. He got TKO'd in the 2nd round. Now, Tony Thompson, who I think is going to stop Price again, won 37, 25 KOs, lost 3. and has 40 fights altogether. I think Tony Thompson is smart enough to know that I'm going back to the hometown of David Price, to Liverpool, and I'm going to beat him. So I believe, and I don't think Tony is a type that's just going to stay there and hold, he is a southpaw. He is an aggressive fighter. I don't think he's going to hold David Price. I think he's going to do what he did this last time, that he's going to box, and he's going to wait for that opportunity, and there's going to be another TKO, Prophet.
The big question is, like with Banks and Mitchell, has David Price psychologically, mentally recovered from that knockdown? And the knockdown wasn't even that brutal. It seemed like a harmless shot to the ear, and all of a sudden Price's legs were like jello. I guess the punch affected his equilibrium, so maybe in hindsight Price can't take a punch. Maybe he's been exposed. There are flaws there, but he was just so great in the amateurs. I followed him as an amateur in Beijing when he won a bronze medal in the 2008 Olympic Games as a super heavyweight. The talent is there. Truth be told, I think he's got more talent than Tyson Fury. I don't know if he's better than David Haye and has more talent than David Haye, but I think he's got more talent than Tyson Fury. And if he were to lose this fight against Thompson, it would really, really destroy any credibility he has going forward. And like I said before, not only was he ESPN's top prospect in 2012, I think he was my top prospect. He had such a promising career as a heavyweight coming out of the amateurs, and we'll see. He needs to not only the key here is he can't just escape here with a victory. If he beats Thompson by a listless decision, people will still say, well, he's not that great. He needs to destroy Thompson. He needs to prove that the first fight was a fluke and that Thompson landed, whether you want to call it a lucky punch or whatever, and it has been done before. But I just like Price. I think he's just too talented. He's too young. He's too hungry. And we'll see. It's certainly a very bold pick. I love it when anyone picks against me, but especially the host of this program, making a very, very, very bold pick. I would say Thompson replicating this feat and beating Thompson is a huge, huge upset and a very bold prediction on your part. So bold, in fact, that even though you're in California and I'm in New York, I would be so bold as to mail you a gift certificate to any restaurant you want in California if Tony Thompson was to beat David Price this weekend.
Oh, that's sweet. But you know what? I'll just have the satisfaction of knowing that I beat the Prophet. So don't worry about it. When Thompson wins, I just get bragging rights. Is that enough for you?
Listen,
come on, you're the Prophet.
I will eat crow, and you can have all your friends call into the show and taunt me because it'll be well deserved that Thompson wins.
Nobody wants to taunt you, except maybe I'll get to taunt you a little bit because that might be kind of fun. But you know what? We're going to change subjects because we're going to go to a commercial, and when we come back, we get to have Keith. One-time Thurman is coming on, which I'm very excited to talk to because I was there when he was at his first Olympic trials qualifier and qualified. So we're going to talk to him in just a minute. We're going to go to commercial. Don't go anywhere, Prophet, okay? But I do want to talk a little bit about I wanted to tell you, of course, you can call in live, 347-324-5778. You can Twitter us at Real Combat Media, or Facebook, Real Combat Media. I also want to thank Sue Fox from WBAN.org. So it's a Women's Boxing Archive Network, and she always is putting our press releases up. She's never not done anything that I've ever asked if she could do it. She's put articles. Sue Fox is amazing, and 24/7 her website is going on and on and on, and it's always updated. Fantastic website. Please check it out, WBAN.org. Thank you very, very much, Sue Fox, and congratulations to you because she has been finally recognized for how much she does in this sport. She is fantastic. And I'm going to switch over a little bit to a sad situation in Arizona, and I want to send my condolences and our condolences to the families and friends of the firefighters that lost their lives in Arizona this past weekend. Very, very sad. I think it's the first time in a long time that so many firefighters were killed in a wildfire, and my condolences and prayers for the families. Very, very sad. So we'll come back in just a minute and 32 seconds from the commercial. Please stay tuned. We'll look forward to the next half hour of our show.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 20, and I'm your host, Christy Rosario, here in Los Angeles, California, with my co-host, Richard, the Boxing Prophet Solomon, all the way in New York City. You can call us at 347-324-5778, and you can Twitter us at Real Combat Media. You can Twitter myself at Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL, or Prophet at Boxing Prophet 68, and you can find us on Facebook at Real Combat Media. And we are back, and I'm very excited that Keith, one-time Thurman, fantastic, phenomenal welterweight who's knocked out everybody except his last opponent. Welcome to the show, Keith. Oops, I think I have you on mute. Hold on. Oh, there we are. Are you there, Keith?
Yes, I'm here. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you for stopping your workout and talking to us.
Oh, no problem.
So,
I finished up. It's all good.
I'm glad because I know you're getting ready. We got to tell everyone Keith is getting ready to fight Diego Gabriel Chavez, who is 22 and 18, another phenomenal boxer. This is going to be a great fight, and they're going to fight on the 27th of July at the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas. And Keith, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about actually, you know what? That is, okay, I'm sorry. So we have Diego Gabriel Chavez. He was 122, 18 KOs, and Keith has 120 and KO'd 18. You guys have almost the same record. I mean, you're not ducking anybody, are you?
No, we're just, we're climbing up to the top, doing what we can to just keep building the name and being an exciting fighter in the world of boxing and just trying to prove that, I'm one of the best welterweights in the world.
Yes, you are. You are. And, I met you through the amateurs, and I would almost bet 100% that I was your referee at the Olympic qualifier in 2007 when you won the PAL. Because you won the PAL in 2007, right?
Yes, that's correct.
That was you. And you don't remember this awesome referee in the ring with you?
I was definitely paying attention to the fight.
I know, you were concentrating. But I remember you. I remember your hair. It's kind of hard not to forget. But that was a wonderful day. So you were trying to get to the Olympics, to be on the Olympic team. And then what happened? You just decided to go pro right after that?
Yeah, being an amateur, especially here in the United States, growing up, I always knew what I had in store for me when it came to the world of boxing. We were going to do everything in our power to make that Olympic team. I was offered on several occasions to turn pro at the age of 16. This happened because many people saw me knocking people out. I had my first knockout at the age of 13. So by the time I was 16, some people thought that I was ready. We sat down, we talked, but we didn't make it happen. I told them I'm young, I want to hold out for the Olympic Games. I lost in the 2008 Olympic trials against Demetrius Andrade, who went on and competed in China in 2008, and I turned pro as soon as possible so that I could, work my way up the pro ladder and the pro ranks and find myself where I am today, getting ready to take over the number one position in the WBA.
So how did you feel about that, though? Were you prepared to go from the amateurs to the pros? Was that okay, or was that kind of like a dream? Because I know we all have dreams. I've had dreams for the Olympics, too. Was that terribly disappointing, or were you okay to kind of say, okay, I'm going to leave it behind? Or did you want to stay another 4 years in the amateurs and someone talked you out of it?
See, that's the thing. I definitely was not going to stay 4 more years as an amateur. Just to have that shot at the Olympic Games, I put my best foot forward, and we were second. We came in second place. I grabbed a silver medal at the Olympic trials, and I was scheduled to be the 2008 alternate, but I declined that position because being the alternate simply means you're the number 2 guy. You only get a chance if the number 1 guy gets sick or injured. And I just was looking forward to my future. I had a pro style in the amateurs, and I just couldn't wait to test out my style in the pros as a pro.
Well, congratulations, though. Getting silver at the Olympic trials, in our country, that's quite a feat. We have fantastic athletes, and we have tons of them. I'd say we have about 27,000 amateur athletes in the United States, at least, maybe even more. So you've been happy then since you turned pro. No regrets, huh?
Exactly. Like I said, we did our best. To me, I had over 100 amateur fights. I had 2 international competitions at that time, and I just felt like I was ready. It was time. I was done with the amateur. I was done with losing according to this point system. And, I said, hey, if you became second as an amateur, worst case scenario, this is what I told myself the day I lost in the trials. I said the worst case scenario is you will at least work your way up to a title shot and become second once again because you've already seen yourself do it before. But because the pro system is different and it favors power punchers over boxers, I have no doubt in my mind that I will grab that world title.
Well, now, they're changing the point system. Do you think that would have been better for you then? Because the amateurs is going to the same as the pro system. And so do you think that's going to help people that... Go ahead.
I said, yeah, too bad it's a little too late for me. But it's an interesting concept. A lot of people really see the new system that they're about to adapt is a double-edged sword. Okay? The main reason is because they're going to start competing without headgears. One of the reasons why people stay amateur is so that they can gain experience and not put their bodies at risk like the pros do with fighting without any headgears. But, not having a headgear on, maybe people will do their best to not get hit, Maybe it'll really teach them to keep their defense up better, to move their head better, and I think the longevity, the reason why they're doing this is because they're trying to create better professionals. The transition of going from an amateur style to a professional style is something that we've always talked about because the styles have been different from one another. So now that they're going to mirror a professional scoring system, hopefully when they turn pro, it's just going to feel natural. And I think that's what they're shooting for.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think they're feeling that without the headgear, it's going to be more exciting for people to watch. So, of course, television and everything else. But like you said, now these guys and women are going to get cuts on their face before they even have a pro career. And, maybe more concussions. I don't think anything is conclusive in that area. So it's going to definitely be interesting to see what happens. But hopefully they don't get hit as much like you're saying. I hope. So, Keith, I don't know. It's hard. The politics of all the everything. I guess we could talk about that forever, so we won't get into that one. But let's talk about Paulie Malignaggi. What happened? I know I heard you wanted to fight him before. Is he ducking you?
He's not ducking me. The main reason why he's not ducking me is I have not lined myself up. Paulie has never been mentioned to me, so I don't know if I've ever been mentioned to Paulie. He says that he was mentioned, that my name was mentioned, but the dollars weren't there, which is understandable for how I've been moving thus far. But my beef is plain and simple. Paulie had a belt. See, now, I'm not even as eager to fight the brother because he's beltless. I still don't have no problem fighting the dude, one time take care of the business all the time. So, if he let little Adrian Broner slap him around a little bit, I thought Broner could have even put a little bit more hurt on him if he really wanted to. But all in all, it was a decent, entertaining fight. Both fighters fought their fight, and Paulie lost, plain and simple.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Did you like the fight? I'm sure you heard about the drama, but did you like the fight itself?
Yeah, it was interesting watching. Paulie came in shape. He performed. I think everybody got their money's worth. It's not like he talked the talk and didn't throw his hands. You can't really expect him to knock people out. He's not known for that. You know what I'm saying? And but he fought his fight. I think he was throwing way too many punches to the body, and I think that's why Adrian was able to come back and take rounds away from Paulie, was because it's very hard for the judges to understand or see the damage that you are causing with body blows. But when you hit people in the face and their head moves back or gets twisted to the side, it's very clear to everybody and the judges that you have landed a critical blow, and to me, you get more credit for that. So after Paulie would do his little 2 or 3 piece, and Adrian would come over top with his right hand or his left hook, or the combination of both, and once when it landed, the judges saw Paulie getting slapped around, his head moving around, and and that's why I think Adrian was able to win the fight due to his power punches after Paulie's flurries.
Well, what do you think about you and Adrian fighting each other? How do you think that would turn out?
It would turn out better than the Paulie fight, in my opinion. It'd be a great fight. But I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen because that is a possible fight in the future. But I don't know what Broner's doing. We're going to have to watch. We're going to have to watch and see what he does. I don't know if he really wants to stay at the welterweight division. How many times have people hopped up 2 weight classes and then stayed up there? So,
right.
The question is being thrown around left and right at me, definitely, especially since I am going after the WBA title. I'm moving up in the rankings. It's a great fight, but if it gets proposed, we'll take it, because I am belt hungry. I have yet acquired that world title. It's my dream to be a world champion and, to be at the top of the world of boxing. So if that's who we have to take, then that's what we're going to do.
All right, and what about you for when you're making 147? Do you have to cut a lot of weight? Are you walking around pretty heavy, or how much do you have to lose?
It depends on how much how much time I had in between my fights, and it also depends on my eating habits, obviously.
Right. Well, you sound like a guy that
so,
really is in control of everything, so I can't see how your eating would be out of control.
I got a little weakness. It's called sugar.
Me too. Ice cream and chocolate.
Exactly. All season, me and Ben and Jerry's be hitting it up every night. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God, I love it. I know.
With the cookie dough. So.
Gosh. Okay. So I hear you loud and clear.
In check. I keep the weight in check. You know. If it gets a little out of hand, we just put in the extra work. You know. It's not a big deal. It's just a process, you know. It's a process, but that's what being a professional athlete is all about, understanding your body, knowing your body, and knowing the process that you have to go through to get in shape and to perform and to entertain the people.
But you, have amazing knockout power. I mean, amazing. Do you train to be a knockout, or is that just something that comes deep from within?
It's a little bit of both. My first amateur fight, I was 9 years old, and I was 9 years old. It was my first amateur fight. I was the first bout of the night, and I stopped the kid in the first round. And that was back when, when you're at that young, you're only doing 1 minute rounds. So I gave the kid 3 standing 8 counts in less than a minute. So I've always had a real get in there and take them out kind of mentality. My trainer taught me that from the get-go. And, we definitely trained for it, but the power aspect that I produced, that's natural. We didn't lift weights for hours and hours to make it occur. It's just a blessing from God, and I use it every single time I step in the ring.
Yes, that is a blessing. You are lucky to have that power. And, last time you mentioned that you wanted to fight Victor Ortiz. Is that still a desire?
The whole who do you want to fight is my least favorite question of all.
I'm sure.
And the main reason is because I've already stated it many times. I have called out the world of boxing. I have over 100 amateur fights. I had roughly maybe about 16 losses in my amateur career from the ages of 7 to 18. I'm undefeated. I'm not scared of anybody. Nobody. I'm waiting.
Okay, so the point is, Keith. Okay, so the point for you is, if you have a belt, I will fight you. Plain and simple.
Plain and simple, because that's where I'm headed right now. I'm trying to get to the top of the ladder. I'm trying to compete with all the belt holders, so that I can stand up there with them and be one of the champions in the world of boxing.
I hear you. You deserve it.
If it's Ortiz, if it's Devin Alexander, if it's Adrian Broner, anybody, you name it, Marcos Maidana, anybody, Josecito Lopez, all of them, Floyd Mayweather Jr., I'll step in the ring with anybody. One of my favorite sayings is that I have a O, and I'm not afraid to let it go. I'm not scared of losing. I'm not here to myself to be pretty forever and all that. I'm here to challenge myself as a fighter, as an entertainer, and simply as a man. I'm here to challenge myself in the world of boxing. Is there anybody out there that's going to take me out? Because I have intentions of taking you out.
Well, what do you think of Diego Chavez? Well, you're going to meet somebody on the 27th named Diego Chavez, who is a fantastic, phenomenal fighter as well. What do you think about this? Isn't this a great opportunity?
This is a great opportunity. This is an opportunity to do several things. One, to showcase my talent on Showtime. Two, to show people that I'm not afraid of stepping in with powerful punchers like myself. I think one thing that fans don't like seeing is when they know that this guy is a power puncher, but all of his opponents or the people that putting him in the ring in have no power. So where's the real threat? You know, Diego Chavez is 22-0 with 18 knockouts, just like myself. So, you know, my nickname's One Time, but technically come July 27th, there will be 2 one-times in the ring. And I'm going to have to be just as cautious of his power as he's going to be of mine. And the bottom line come the 27th is who gets that one in first.
That's right. Who's going to get that one in first? It's going to be a great fight. That probably should be one of those on pay-per-view that we should pay for, but thankfully not. We have the Boxing Prophet, and I would love to give him an opportunity to ask you a question. You there, Prophet?
I'm here, and I love the way Keith thinks. He's got that winner's mentality that a lot of fighters in today's game don't have. Keith, as not only a boxing prophet, but as a fight fan, you know, your last 3 performances were on HBO. Loved your performances against Orlando Lara and Carlos Quintana, 2 great knockout victories. Basically, you destroyed Jan Zivic. Won an easy decision there, but now you moved over to Showtime because HBO has this silly feud going on with Golden Boy. They're discontinuing their relationship with Golden Boy, so now you're on Showtime. What are your thoughts about this ridiculous feud? Do you see anything into it, or you don't really care as long as you get the TV exposure you deserve? You don't really care what network you're on?
For the most part, that's right, man. As long as I'm still getting the exposure that I deserve, my manager Al Heyman is still moving me forward in the right direction. You know, that's all that a fighter could ever hope for. It doesn't matter if it was HBO, Showtime, or even Cinemax if they wanted to get in it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as long as the fights are right, the contracts are right, you know, I mean, that's what matters most. So I think HBO has only really hurt themselves in that feud and dilemma.
No, I agree with you. And as far as your opponent on the 27th goes, Chavez, this is only his 2nd fight in the United States. All of his other fights have been in Argentina. The only name I recognized on his resume was Omar Weiss. Do you get kind of complacent going into this fight that you have more experience than Chavez, and you have bigger names on your resume that you should be able to stop this guy relatively easy, or you know, are you taking him as seriously as the other fighters you faced?
I definitely take it just as serious because this kid is undefeated. So there's no way that he's showing up on the 27th in San Antonio, Texas, for the 2nd time of his career in the United States, and is he expecting to lose? You know, Argentina is doing really great right now in the world of boxing. They have produced. They have a few world champions. They got ex-world champions, and they're kind of making a scene in the world of boxing. So I'm pretty sure he's going to bring forth all the pride of Argentina come the 27th, and I'm just looking forward to shutting him down and destroying it.
Very true. You know, we have Lucas Mateste, who's been phenomenal. You know, and then you mentioned Maidana. I mean, there's so many of these. It used to be Mexico and Puerto Rico. Now it's Argentina in the world. You are correct. So another question, Prophet, or what do you think? What?
No, I'm done. I think Keith emerges on July 27th with a knockout victory. If you care, Keith, because I am the boxing prophet, and I do have prophecies, and I see you winning this fight by a 6th round TKO. So after you're victorious, maybe you'll call back into the show.
Sounds good to me.
6th round TKO. What do you think? Does that sound good, or is that taking too long? Do you want it to be like a 3-round TKO, or do you care?
All I got to say about the fight is don't blink for 1 second. You know, it's going really good. You know, I mean, it's right around the corner, man. I'm counting down the days. You know, as the sun rises, we're just counting down the days. It's about to be fight night. I'm getting my head right. You know, I get amped up, man. This fight means everything to me. Whenever I step in the ring with another undefeated fighter, nothing gets me more amped. You know, this dude could be 7-0, and I'd be just as excited. The simple fact that we're both undefeated, someone is going home the loser. You know, and to me, that's what boxing's all about, man. Great fight, great matchmaking, and, you know, please, everybody who's listening, you know, tune in July 27th, Showtime, San Antonio, Texas. If you're around the area or you got some family, call them in, tell them to turn on the tube too. There's about to be U.S. versus Argentina. You know, myself, Keith Thurman versus Diego Chavez. There'll be bombs dropping.
We will definitely watch. You know, you're in Clearwater, Florida right now, aren't you?
Sunshine State.
Oh, man, I was there once. That water is fantastic, beautiful. Lucky you. So I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure I know you could use luck, but you have all that talent. And I want to thank you so much for, you know, arranging to come on the show with us. And please come back and let us know after the fight. We want to hear more from you.
All right, sounds good. Anytime.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you very much. And we will be watching your fight on July 27th, and we won't blink for a second. Thank you, Keith, one-time Thurman. Thank you so much. Have a good day, Keith. Thank you.
God bless.
God bless you. Take care. So here we have it. We had a wonderful show. We had Jackie Kallen. We had Keith Thurman. We had Ben Lira. We talked about the fights. You know, what a great show. Again, I want to thank Sue Fox from WBAN, Women's Boxing Archive Network.org. She's always wonderful, always helps us out. I also send our press release to Roy Engelbrecht. Thank him very much. And we're going to come back next week, next Tuesday, 2:30 to 4:30 Pacific, 5:30 to 7:30 East Coast time. And we're going to have Abner Modis and Layman Brewster. Looking forward to those two coming on the show. And you can always call in live, 347-324-5778. You can Twitter us at Real Combat Media, or my Twitter is Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL. And there's the Boxing Prophet. It's Boxing Prophet 68. You can Twitter him too. We're on Facebook at Real Combat Media. And, I want to wish Keith, the one-time Thurman, what a amazing amateur career he had, over 100 fights and barely lost any, and wish him the best of luck. I know he rushed his workout to come on our show. And I want to thank everybody for listening, and you can always go back and listen to the archive shows. We have plenty of them. I've been on, now since episode, I believe it was 12. And here we are today. So stay tuned next Tuesday. Don't forget to come back, and you'll hear Abner Modis and Layman Brewster, myself, and the Boxing Prophet. We are going to talk about new topics and interviews. Again, take care of yourself. We're Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This has been episode 12, and I am your host, Christy Rosario, with my co-host, Richard, the Boxing Prophet, Solomon. Take care, and we will. Well, I guess I should let Prophet. Bye. Have a good day, Prophet. Good having a show with you.
It was great talking sweet science with you, and I'm looking forward to next week's show. It'll be great.
It will be great, and it's always great, and it's lots of fun doing this show. So we only have 10 seconds left. Have a great week, Prophet, and everybody else have a great week. Talk to you soon. Take care. Keep boxing.